What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another War Thunder video. Here we're in the French tech tree, taking a look at the AMX-50 Foch. This is a battle rating 7.3 tank destroyer, and it is glorious and frustrating. It's a mixed bag as far as how good it is. The gun is amazing, the armor is amazing, but there are some challenges with it. We're gonna start this video off with some Ace Tanker gameplay, then we're going to take a look at the armor values, and then we're going to finish it off with some additional highlights. Even if you're one of those people who has no interest whatsoever in playing French tanks, stick around, because the odds are you're going to see this thing on the battlefield in the very near future, if not already. And we're going to talk about the weaknesses of this vehicle. Right off the bat, we see our first tank, the T-29. Gotta crest the hill a little bit more because the gun depression is not excellent. And that has to do partially with the fact that the gun is mounted so low on the vehicle. Very first shot and knocks out that T-29 right in the ammo rack. And you see, that's just armor piercing. There's no high explosive filler. This is just good old fashioned AP. And the AP buff in 1.75 is just it's a game changer for a lot of vehicles. Another T-29 is on fire, or excuse me, it's a T-34. Take him out as well. The gun, it's beautiful to fire. It has a muzzle velocity of over 1,000 meters a second. So there's very little actual bullet drop to have to account for. I find myself overshooting a lot of vehicles. I'm shooting way over them, just because I'm not used to this shell yet. I'm still in the process of upgrading it. I have since purchased a talisman for the Foch, and I have no regrets about doing that. The engine performance stock is not bad. It's actually better than a lot of vehicles at this battle rating. And as you get the filters, the transmission, and then eventually the engine upgrade, you add, I think, over 100 horsepower to the engine. By that time, you're really flying. Look at all these beautiful side shots. Look at all these tanks sitting there. I would love to have had another shot at this map again. Bounce. Yeah, they see me. It doesn't matter though, because the armor on this thing is magnificent. Another bounce. Another calling artillery on me. Another 2 more bounces. Bring it on, boys. The Foch has 180 millimeters of armor in the front, and it's angled at 55 degrees. So depending on where you on whether you aim low on the upper front plate or at the very top, you're dealing with an effective thickness of between 270 and 300 millimeters of armor. And most shells can't do a thing to you. I, on the other hand, am firing just AP, and I can just about kill anything from the front. Of course, you will get disappointed from occasion on the fact that you have no high explosive filler. So if I was in, say, a T-29, I would be one-shotting every one of these vehicles. Instead, it sometimes will take 2 shots. But you can see there's very good fragmentation, very good spalling. It just obliterates everything. Got a nice little group going with me. Got an RU-251 as well as a King Tiger. And we're just going to work this ridgeline together. Another bounce. Look at all these bad boys just lining up. Come on. There's very little lateral movement, and how did I bounce that? Okay. That's one of the few bounces I've ever had in this thing. And you notice that the reverse gear is not very good in the Foch. And that's a bit of a problem because the weak spots, which I will detail in just a little bit after this game, are at the very top of the vehicle. The cupola you see on the left, and then on the right you see a 15mm MG-151 machine gun on the right. Both of these are very easy to hit with armor-piercing Captain Ballistic Cap shells. So if you're in a King Tiger or a T-29, Object 906, that would be the area to pen, and you could do so pretty effectively. The King Tiger helps the RU-251 out by giving him a tow, and I blindly fire into the smoke thinking I might be able to get this guy, but instead I miss, and I should have waited another half a second for the smoke to clear. Just terrible timing. One thing I have done since is I've used that machine gun, that 15mm, as a spotting mechanic, to see where people are through the smoke. It's just a learning process, you know, trying to get familiarized with a new vehicle. If I can hit this guy. I did get my armor penetrated and overshot. That's a common thing with this vehicle, and tanks, or excuse me, the tank tracks are blown off with artillery. I did get my armor penetrated. It looks like my breech is yellow. Looks like the left cupola took some damage as well, so I think we got penetrated on that left cupola, which is common. Walker Bulldog gets taken out. That's kill number 4. We're just about repaired. 1 second left. There we go. We're back up and going. But I'm almost out of ammo. In this early game, I only took 12 rounds because I've been experimenting with the ammo. How much ammo do I need? And damn it, STRV penned me through the side as I was slightly over-angled. There's kill number 5 on the Pershing. The armor on the sides is absolutely terrible, and if you're angled just a little bit to one side or another, you're easy pickings for something like an STRV-81, which has excellent penetration on that APDS round. With my final shot, I decided to take a fire at this tank here. Of course, it's already dead. So much for killing 6 tanks, but still, 5 kills, that's a good ace tank match. If you can take out five tanks with 1 vehicle, I think you're doing pretty darn well. But good on that STRV. He would end up getting me 2 additional times in this battle. I would respawn in the CA Lorraine. This is a similarly designed but much smaller, much less armored vehicle. Another tank destroyer, and I figured, why not continue with tank destroyer weak in the sword? And I see this vehicle just sitting here. I thought it might have been dead, but it was actually just disabled. It's a good thing that I managed to put a shot in. It would have been embarrassing to flank around this guy only to get 1 shot by him after he got his breach repaired. I continue to push the spawn as there's really no one else near the cap to go after. I see in the chat that someone mentioned an Ontos is up. Here we go. Got the Ontos right here coming up this hill. Of course, can't see him very well through this tree. We get around the tree, get him on a nice little side shot before he can fire off his 6 guns and take him out. That's kill number 7. As we continue on, see another tank coming out, and I just can't get reloaded quick enough. No! Damn. Oh, that STRV player. He was all over my ass this game. Jack Brando. Damn you, Jack. Nicely done. APDS doesn't have much difficulty going through the CA Lorraine, unfortunately. Thought we would conclude this match with a glorious ride in the 84 Skyraider to finish off this M19 AAA with a great big bomb. You can try to shoot me all you want, buddy. Your ass is mine. Not even remotely fair. We take him out. But Jack is going to come back and get some revenge for his teammate. You know, I've been using the Skyraider a lot here lately with the French tank tech tree, and it's a lot of fun to use as not only as a bomber and a ground pounder with the tanks, but it's also very good guns. Listen to these new gun sounds. Oh, those sound so great. That's a new sound mod I've been trying. Very interesting gun sounds. But Jack once again came in with the C-Fire and cleaned me out. That guy had it out for me. Have you guys ever had someone like that just seem to focus on you, even though they may not have intentionally done it, just seemed to happen that way? Anyway, with 8 kills, I end up with 50,000 silver lions, 6,000 in modification research going to both the CA Lorraine and the Foch. Well, now that we're in the hangar, let's take a look at the Foch's armor up close, shall we? As you can see from the side, it's a nice thick front plate here. That's some heavy armor. 100 millimeters thick. It's sloped at 55 degrees, which means the effective thickness here at the bottom is right around 250. And it just gets worse, or excuse me, thicker as you go up. You know, if you're in a Tiger 2, you're going to find this to be very frustrating. But of course, the easiest place to kill this frontally with a Tiger 2 or T29 is the cupola or the machine gun port here on either side. They're fairly easy to hit, and because of that, I recommend using some sort of a three-dimensional object to hide it. Whether it be a stop sign or a bush or whatever you happen to have, it's advisable to try to hide these weaknesses as best you can. But of course, that's just the obvious spots. The not so obvious weakness is actually the gun breech itself. This is only 90 millimeters thick, which you wouldn't think that this crazy angle would be that easy to pen, but it actually is. The Object 906 can quite easily pen this and one-shot it. It's kind of an awkward thing to think about, but it is possible. You'll also notice, I mentioned this earlier, is that the gun is mounted roughly halfway up the vehicle. That's a bit of an issue because in order to peak a hill, you have to expose almost the entire vehicle. And of course, when you fire your shot and you reverse down it, your cupola and your machine gun port are still visible for quite a while because you don't have very good reverse gears on this. Unlike, say, something like the Sturry Mill, which has a gun mounted fairly up high and has very good gun depression, so when this peaks over a hill, it only has to expose just a little bit of itself, and you're able to reverse and get out of harm's way rather quickly a lot of the times. The biggest issue with the Foch is not necessarily that these weaknesses exist. It's the fact that right now it's kind of a pain to drive this vehicle because of the existence of heat FS. Pin stabilized heat is very common right now because of the Christmas sales. A lot of people are buying the premium German M47. They also have used that and the recently discounted RU251 to unlock the Leopard, and of course now you have a lot of vehicles just in the German tank tech tree firing heat FS. And when you look at some of the other nations like the United States, they have the M60, the M47, the M48, and so on and so forth, all of which have heat FS, and heat FS negates armor. It makes armor completely irrelevant, and because of that, the Foch, it can be a bit of a pain to play, as this thick armor, even though it's tremendously effective against APCBC shells, it just is completely useless against heat FS. And I know what some of you were thinking, Jim, you didn't mention heat FS that much when dealing with the Hori prototype or production, the Object 268. Timing is a funny thing, you know, timing is everything. The Christmas sale wasn't going on when I was driving those vehicles. It is now, and it's a struggle to use this thing. That's 2 heat FS shells that I've been hit with in the last 10 seconds. And it's ridiculous. That of course doesn't mean you can't have fun with this thing. The Foch is, I wouldn't say it's completely irrelevant, but it is frustrating to use versus all of these heat FS shooting tanks. I mean, there's only so much you can do. Once again, this guy is trying to hit my cupola, because that's about the only thing he can pen with his heat FS. Come on, peek out. There we go. Pop your smoke. That's the right thing to do. I got your back, buddy. Boom, one shot. RU251. Gotta save your teammates sometimes. Here's our second match on Rhine. I love going on this back road. You just never know when someone's gonna drive out and... Surprise!
Attention to the map. Our victory is near.
Right through the top of the King Tiger's turret. Like, he's gonna be repairing for a while. Yeah, nice try. Oh, look at you. Oh, he disappeared in the smoke. That's okay, we'll find him. When you can go right through the upper front plate on a King Tiger, you know you've got a gun with some punch. And this is certainly that gun. If I were to describe the Foch in terms of other vehicles, it would be a Gag Panther on steroids, but with the M103's gun. You just don't get heat FS. You only have armor piercing and then HE. That's it. And you don't need anything else. I mean, my god. You don't need heat FS with this thing. It's remarkable without it. course, armor-wise, the sides are thin, the rear is thin, and it's remarkably easy to get around on its side. Especially in a situation like this where you've got multiple avenues where tanks can come from. In my case, we got a Panther 2 who has respawned and has come around the back road and has well, taken my ass out, quite literally. But the Foch is good. It's good fun tank. It's a little bit frustrating, and my hopes is the heat of the fest will die down a little bit after the Christmas sales are over. Anyway, guys, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, click that thumbs up button, and of course, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Take care, guys.